Hi everyone, Newthany Startano here, the internet's busiest music nerd. And it's time for a review of the new Chris Stapleton album, Starting Over. This is the newest and fourth full-length album from one of the strongest vocalists in country music today, Mr. Chris Stapleton. I've been anticipating big things from Chris ever since I heard the impressive array of performances he laid down on From a Room Volumes 1 and 2 back in 2017. And I think Starting Over is the improvements on songwriting, versatility, and also storytelling that he really needed to propel his sound forward. Now, don't judge a book purely by its cover, because I know from the outside this record doesn't look like much. The title and artist on this thing being written out in what looks like pen can be kind of deceptive. You might even go into this thing thinking, am I going to hear a bunch of demos or B-sides or raw, unmastered stuff? But Starting Over is quite the opposite. It is 14 perfectly crafted studio recordings that strike an impeccable balance between sounding clean and clear while also very rustic and pure. View the cover on this thing less as a lack of effort and more as maybe a clean, possibly even Stapleton reintroducing himself to a degree. As some of the tracks here are so fiery and refreshing, he sounds like a totally new artist. Because over the past few years, he's really deepened his capacity to write songs that are heartening, heartbreaking, enraging, and even fun. The whole thing kicks off with the title track, which is a low-key acoustic ballad that really eases you into the album. The lyrics might come off a little cliche, with Stapleton making references to roads and lucky pennies and four-leaf clovers and things getting better, but it's actually a really inspired song about sticking through the tougher times in a relationship to reach a better tomorrow. The hook on this thing is irresistibly cute, with a beautiful rush of heavily strummed chords and background vocals. It's a great tune, but Chris's vocal prowess isn't on full display yet. We get a much better sense of that on Devil Made Me Think Twice next, which is a slick piece of country blues. This is most likely a City Slicker ass comparison, but to me it felt like a mix of ZZ Top, some Dire Straits, but way more rustic and whiskey-soaked. The slinky, fluid rhythm guitars on this track set a great pace for this swaying groove. Meanwhile, Stapleton is hitting us with that rasp, that twang, that range, that vocal heat, really making me feel every temptation he's singing about, trying to be on the good path, but the devil, as it were, straying him off of that. Then we have the even more hard-hitting Cold, which is a somber, string-backed slow burner, essentially about putting a relationship on pause, and it is easily one of the best tunes I've heard this year in terms of songwriting and performance. Like, god damn those vocals on the hook. Cold! Honestly, this thing deserves about a dozen different cover versions. The passionate guitar solo on the bridge is killer, and the strings getting heavier and heavier too as the song progresses along. Fantastic. When I'm With You is a pretty typical piece of tear in your beer country, very subtle instrumentation, 3/4 time, swirling and faint electric guitar. It's sweet while it's on, but I can't help but feel like the mood of the instrumental isn't quite meeting the lovey-dovey lyrics. The sudden ending of the song feels like really having the rug pulled out from under me too. It's easily one of the bigger duds here. But then things pick up once again with Arkansas, which is an ass-kicking piece of country rock with punchy beats, driving riffs, and Stapleton's deliciously coarse lead vocals. It actually makes me want to go to Arkansas. Ahem! Never mind. The following Joy of My Life is a cover of the god John Fogerty, and while it is a damn good tune, I think instrumentally Chris and his collaborators play it so straight that the end result is a little bland, which is a shame because, again, it is a good tune. But then the track Hillbilly Blood breaches almost into progressive territory with its oddly tense chord changes on the intro and the way the instrumentation progressively gets more and more heavy and thick as the song moves along. Also, there's something to be said for Stapleton's odd lyrical mysticism around Hillbilly Blood, talking about his hillbilly background as if it's more of a, I guess, a biological destiny than it is a lifestyle. Weird flex, but okay. Meanwhile, Maggie's Song is a painfully cute track about A dog! A dog he found in a shopping cart when it was a puppy, and then she became a part of his family, and it's just filled with endearing lyrics about her life, her personality, the way she grew into the family, her passing. It's so sweet. I want to cry and I want to die. Then we have another of many extreme contrasts across the track list with Whiskey Sunrise, which is a profoundly depressing and pained ballad about crying and also drinking yourself to sleep and eventually waking up in an absolutely terrible state. Melodically, parts of the song sound almost like a renovated version of the House of the Rising Sun, which is not a bad thing. I mean, it's a great folk song, and if you're gonna rip off an idea, make it a good one. Now, past this point, the track list hits us with not one, but two Guy Clark covers, really crossing over into that outlaw country territory here, and I do like some outlaw country. He pulls through with a very groovy version of Worry Be Gone, slightly changing the lyrics to make the song about smoking weed. Then with Old Friends, Stapleton proves he can pull off very nicely one of those classic talk-sung ballads that are very melodramatic and narrative. And then from here we move on to a pretty strong ending for the record too. We have the intense Watch You Burn, a song that is literally about that Las Vegas shooting from a while back where he calls the shooter out as being cowardly and destined for an eternity of burning in hell. But between that sinister instrumentation and the angry groove and the fact that Stapleton's vocals are just seething, they're just so potent with rage, definitely one of the heaviest moments on the project. You Should Probably Leave is one of the smoother tracks here instrumentally, but one of the roughest emotionally. In part, it does sound like a classic piece of somewhat mild 90s pop country balladry, but it's a heartbreaking track too, about essentially the pain to continue this love, to continue this relationship, or to even break it off will be so great that to continue on will just be too much, so might as well just cut things off right here. And the way Chris explains this very tough decision in his lyrics is just absolutely earth-shattering. You know, heartbreak is such a common and a cliched thing for a songwriter to write a song about. So when one comes along and translates it in a way where it comes off so intense that it's like hearing that again for the first time, that's something. Then the closer, Nashville, Tennessee, is an acoustic finish, an ode to the city in a way, while also talking about it as if it's a person that Chris shared some good and inspired times with. But simultaneously, he's reached a point where he now needs to tell Nashville that I'm parting with you, we're breaking up, things aren't quite working out. You know, think of it as the country version of New York, I love you, but you're bringing me down. And that is the record. Damn, this thing is good. So many solid and fantastic songs and covers along the track list of this thing. It's a pretty decent length too. It is great. It's hit after hit. It's robust as well. Quite an emotional gamut covered on this project too, and just great production, great songwriting. It is easily one of the best records I've heard this year. It is easily one of the best country records I've heard in a long time, and I have no doubt it's going to be one of the best country records I've heard this decade once everything is said and done. Feeling a strong 8 to a light 9 on this thing. Transition, have you given this album a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? You're the best, you're the best. What should I review next? Hit the like if you like. Please subscribe and please don't cry. Hit the bell as well. Over here next to my head is another video that you can check out. Hit that up or the link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, Chris Stapleton, forever.